being respecters of the fact, and believing that each of us is put here on this earth for a unique purpose. None of us duplicated in terms of how we must serve in the total scheme of things. We have to find out, well, what is this particular person's purpose in life, and in particular in this particular play. And so this is what intrigues me in terms of what I've been listening at today, listening to the business of I want, and to find out what I want from life, what the character wants from life. And every step they take, every appearance they make is somehow tied to the grand design of what I want as a human being. Whether it's in this room, whether it's wherever I go, this character wants something. And to find what that want is terribly important. And I think, particularly with children, we have 6 grandchildren, and one of them is forever digging. Oh, maybe he's going to be a city planner. So I'm thinking that if each child had somebody paying attention to the indications. For example, I was always reciting when I was a little girl. I was reciting all the time. I love to recite. and I began to write little poems. And sure enough, I'm an actor and I write. And I'm thinking that so many of these, that our young people give us indications of what they want out of what kind of people they're going to be, what kind of niche in society they're going to fill. I think they give us, the blueprints come with them. And I think that we have to kind of just look them up and see what they are. I don't know whether you do it by, if you have a sensitive teacher that can observe, or parents. I don't know, feeling bumps going to you, religionists, psychics, astrology, psychiatrists. I don't know what it takes, but I think that when we want to do it, we do it the best of our ability. No matter what it is, you know, even if it's cooking, and even if it's a young man building with the wood all the time. Maybe he's a carpenter, you know. The woman who's, nobody, I don't believe, for example, that everybody has to absolutely go to college and all. Some of us come thrust more surely than others, and the goal is set, and they're going to move in this direction. There's no doubt about that. I have another grandson. I'm sure he's going to be a businessman, you know, because he has a hustle about him, and he's always trying to these little things. So this is what I have to contribute this morning in terms of motivation, and knowing that the more clearly defined that want is when I come on stage. If I want something, I lose all fear. I lose all lack of confidence. I'm strong. There's strength, confidence. Those kinds of qualities are manifest when I'm following that which I want to do, because nothing else counts. And you see a goal and you march toward it. And I know that when somebody walks on stage, if they just walk on stage and kind of amble up to the microphone and they tug at their dresses and you know, because really they don't know why they're out there exactly yet. But if they think out in the wings, oh, I have to tell these people about something. I want them to know about this. They have to know about this. And if I don't tell them, they'll never know it. So we walk out on stage because we've got to tell them something. We want to share this message. We want to say, so it doesn't matter how we look, how our clothes fit, or anything. We're just so full of the message that you have to know this, because, you know. So the want carries us from location. You know, it carries us to the site of life, life sites. And like somebody says, well, I mean, I want to be an actor. But somebody ever says that to me, I want to be an actor. I don't believe them. Because, first of all, when you want something, I believe that if we can get that element in the child, in the young people, I want, I must, I will, I've got it, that's something, and then the output of that great desire, we say, oh, that's marvelous. You can see that this child really is going to be an artist. So there's very sensitive drawing here for a 3-year-old to draw in perspectives. They have some kind of a sense going there, that's just not slapping colors on a piece of paper. There's something special there. So I mean, so I hope that what I have said has contributed something to this morning's exploration. Thank you.
The element that we have is that power and responsibility.
About role models. Yes, I quite agree with you. Again, as absolutely an authority on nothing, but I'm impressed with and yes, an authority on a lot of things too. I'm impressed. I see bubbly, marvelous children when they're 1 and 2 years old, and especially if they're loved and in a family, and they're free spirits, and they're sure of themselves, and I'm talking about the well-behaved children, and also I'm talking about those even who what we might call quote quote not well-behaved. I don't believe in well-behaved and unwell-behaved or intelligent, non-intelligent. I just believe that where is the intelligence, or where is the what we don't all have to behave alike. I mean, but and then about 4 or 5 years old, or 5 or 6 years old, they start going to school. They start getting out in the world. And it seems as if I see coming across the face of young black children a kind of a glaze.
That's right.
That gets darker and darker, and they lose their exuberance. And something seems to happen to the young black child. Because I believe that racism in America is geared to begin very quickly to train us in the ways of slave mentality. I mean, I don't think it's gotten away from that, and particularly black young men, that I think the society steps all over them, and they are. It's geared to crush the psyche of black men. I mean, I want to look at the positive aspects. And so when I think of role models, I really want our young role models to have, I felt when we were early coming along, first of all, there was something about being black in America, about being black in this world, that I thought I really had to deal with, and I had to deal with early, because I didn't want my kids coming home from school wondering about blackness, and wondering about the blondes and the blue. So right in our home, we talked black, black was because we honestly felt that it was very important for our children to know that they were black children in America. And and to me, I think the educational process misses something unless we begin to prepare our children. It's like getting, it's like, I don't know, it's not calluses on your psyche. It's a protective. It's a shield for your. It's something. So they walked the picket line with us, and they sat in, and we talked black, and we knew black, and they boycotted Christmas when those children in Birmingham, Alabama were killed, and so forth. And even now, our grandchildren, maybe I do it too much, but but I really want them to get a hold of the concept of being a black person in these United States, and knowing how wonderful and exciting that is, and how the responsibility of the black role model is almost to help change the world for the better, for the whole world. And tell them the differences, like in a human family. There's some people who think they're better than the other people in the human family. So these kinds of things, I think we have to begin to tell our children, because when they're very young, so that they get a notion a notion of themselves and a pride in the excitement of being black. And also this is what I'm what disturbs me a little bit about today, the role models. I don't know what I would have done not knowing King. or Malcolm or Garvey, or knowing about them, and even Father Divine, and the agitational aspects of these people. I think it's terribly important for our children to understand about agitation. Agitation in the sense that, you know, in the washing machine, if you put the clothes in there, there's no agitator, those clothes won't get clean. And I'm thinking that we are teaching the world that a society has to have that element in it that grinds out the dirt, and not that you become part of the dirt. And so I'm for children, as soon as you can possibly think they're ready for it, you know, as soon as they start thinking, boy, I'm a boy, I'm a girl, you know, something like that. And I believe that if a country doesn't have that element in it of I don't say agitation, but aliveness and awareness of what's going on, that society ought to hire such people, or it dies without them. And that's what's bothering me today. That there aren't those people in the world, like all of us, role models. Role models. I want my kids to see me, to know that I'm writing letters, you know, to my senator, that the Bush says, if it's not good for the children, he's lying, of course, but maybe he means it. Maybe he's going to try to mean it. So I won't say he's lying, I say he means it. I'll take him at his face value. And I'll be sure that every congressman and every person that we elect, our children know that we elect this official because what they do and what they think is good for the children, you know. And I think that's a good slogan to put out in the atmosphere. Oh, we do this because it's good for the children. And they begin to think what's good for the children. So we get our elected officials, and we begin to, I think of myself right now, what's good for my children is to, you know, I need to start a boycott against the three major networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, because we had to agitate to get blacks included on those soap operas, because we were listening, we were buying all the stuff, and we weren't being hired. And now, when the listenership went up, then as soon as the listenership went up, they took out all those stories. Now you have very few. But those are entry-level jobs for actors. And you can feed your family, and you can do a lot of things. Not only that, we ought to start agitating for technicians behind the cameras, and so that I can pass on to my children that I'm a worker for what's best for the family and for my children. And yes, well, this is not right, and I want to struggle for what is right. I don't know what this has to do with this particular discussion, except as role models, I want my children to perceive of me, like my daughter and my son, they went and bought a second-hand car, and it was a dog, and they spent $5,000 on it. So something in me, I had to do something, I had to demonstrate. So I got everybody in my family said, we're going down to that dealer. They said, they were willing, they were going to just let it go, chalk it up to them. So no, we don't chalk it up to anything. We're going down here, and we're going to let that dealer know. They don't want to give us back the money. So I had all the men in my family, everybody we could get, we went down there. When we got finished talking to them, we marched in, and then the guys in the dealership, they saw all these black people, so they came in with their contingent. But the bottom line is, and the last question he asked was, well, how much? They spent $7,000. Well, do you want your money back? And we said yes. But you see, we had one flaw. We didn't believe we were going to get that money back, and we didn't bring the papers with us. So we had to go back and get the papers. And so in terms of this God business that we're talking about, so I mean, forgive me if I'm sounding, but there's another thing about God. I think God is an activist. I think Christ was a revolutionary.
Yes, he was.
And I think people, they just didn't take all that crap and say, well, I'm just going to accept this. So I believe that God is good for change, and God is good and God is not apart from us. We don't, in all due respects, we don't have to, I don't go to God. God is with me always. It's impossible to be where God is not. I mean, you just can't, you can believe or not believe. I mean, it's like saying, the plant doesn't believe in sun. It doesn't matter if it believes in the sun. The sun shines. It will benefit. I mean, to the degree to which we embrace the belief, that I am an empowered entity on this earth. I'm empowered because God is with me. God is with me always. I cannot be where God is not. And I am somebody, So that is that kind of thing that I want to see happen with our children, and I don't think they can get it unless they get it from our parents. And I'm anxious to see our parents, the parents getting on picket lines and write letters and put our bodies out there, and and do battle with with those forces that would keep us from reaching our highest potential. And that kind of thing. I mean, the theory and the philosophy is good, and these things that we're talking about, as into my way of thinking now, are very important. But always, what is the action? This is what I think we need to deal with as a people. The action that helps us to reach the goal. I mean, the action, like Miss Russell, she put her money down, she started this thing. She started this school, the Gingerbread House. I need to go to NBC, the networks, I need to say, well, it's time for another boycott, time to tell everybody to turn off the television sets. You know, that's follow the preacher, follow Martin Luther King. He told us to do it. He says, we're the ninth richest nation in this country, in this world. I mean, when you give it, we have all this money at our disposal. So, well, it's time for me to get here with the economic picture and, you know, start spending my dollars where I want my, you know, where I want my kids to be happy, you know. And so these are the kinds of things that interest me as far as our tender little children, because I think they sense it in the atmosphere. And I want my children to stand up and look in the eye and do battle, and you know, and knowing that they are empowered, they come empowered, and to teach them how to call on the power, not get it, you got it, but call on it. Yeah, that's what intrigues me about today.
No, it's not really necessary. I haven't got much to say.